Welcome to the Debt Rebel podcast, where we discuss the ins and outs of personal finance for families so you can eliminate the burden of debt, create financial margins, and learn a new way to interact with your money. I'm your host, Jewlz The Budget Nerd, and I have been in your shoes. My husband and I have paid off over $107,000 in consumer debt until we finally threw in the towel and decided it wasn't for us. Throughout our journey, we learned another way to do life without debt, and that's my hope for you. You can learn more about our story and see full show notes on my website, jewlzthebudgetnerd.com. That's JEWLZ, thebudgetnerd.com. Now let's dive into today's episode.
All right, on today's episode, I'm going to be sharing my pretty unique recipe for roasted garlic sugar cookies, and also why I say when you're getting your finances in order for the first time, multitasking is not your friend. What steps do you take in what order? So stick around if that sounds semi-interesting to you, and if you like roasted garlic or if you like sugar cookies, if you like them together, well, let me know. All right, so my recipe for roasted garlic sugar cookies was purely an accident. And my daughter and I were like, hey, let's get this meal planning thing. Let's get dialed in with our meal planning. One of the very first things that I tell my clients is meal planning and meal preparation are very important parts we have to eat, right? We cannot skip meals. Eating is very important, and especially eating as a family. Planning out your meals and prepping those things can take a little bit of time, but it is time that you're going to get back in the future with your family and with your friends and being able to do the things that you want to do, because we have to eat, so we don't want to skip that step. But it's also the thing that keeps us from opting for convenience foods and going to, making last minute trips to the grocery store, which can be very tempting to just grab a thing that wasn't on our list that we didn't need. And that contributes to us spending a little bit more money than we had planned. Also, it keeps us from the drive-thrus when we are just in a hurry and need to feed our families quickly. When I tell you this story, I need to start it with, I did not learn how to cook until I was about 40 years old. I used to say that I had a kitchen because it came with the house, and I am an educated person, but there was something about when I went into the kitchen, it just felt like all the oxygen in the room got sucked out and I could not function. I would get very stressed out. I would burn things. At one point, my daughter said, "Mom, can you not cook my bread?" She just wanted bread. She didn't want me to toast it. So she thought toasting was cooking bread. So when I say I'm not the most skilled chef, that's where I'm coming from. So I would definitely have qualified at one point for worst cooks in America. And so when my daughter tells me now that she loves my cooking, it is a major accomplishment on a personal level for me. Back to the roasted garlic sugar cookies. So we decided one night we were going to make some sugar cookies, and we had them all in the oven, and I was going to prep some vegetables and do some other things so that I had some ingredients ready to go for later on in the week, and also for dinner that night, because we weren't going to eat sugar cookies for dinner. Those were going to try and keep for dessert. But so we had things in the oven. I was checking on the roasted vegetables, which were on the top. The cookies were on the bottom. Now, if you're a chef or a baker, I don't know if I did that right, but here we are. It contributed to this story, so I probably didn't do it right, because they might even be at different temperatures. The point is, I'm not a chef, but the thing that I want to illustrate to you is when I pulled out the vegetables to shift them around on the sheet pan, some of the garlic fell into the sugar cookies that were down below. And so that's how I ended up with roasted garlic sugar cookies. And you're like, okay, that's great. Well, what's the point? So the point is, I was trying to do too many things at one time. I was trying to make dinner and make cookies and prep all these things instead of just keeping my eye on the prize. The goal for the night was to get dinner on the table and maybe have some dessert, right? It was the goal. That was the order. However, I decided, let's just do it all at one time with a 5-year-old. That didn't work out. as we had planned. And that's how we ended up with roasted garlic sugar cookies. How does that apply to your finances? And what does this even mean for you? It's a perfect illustration of we can try and do everything all at once, and it can be super overwhelming. We can make mistakes. We can do things that are really kind of out of character for ourselves. And we can it kind of feels like we just create problems for ourselves. Because if I had cooked those things or baked those things separately, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. All that to say is, what do you do first when it comes to your finances? And then what does that look like? How do you apply this scenario to your finances? Make a budget. Making a budget is the absolute first step to getting yourself organized and getting yourself to a spot where you know how much money is coming into your household, how much is going out, and then you can make adjustments from there. Because if you have any kind of debt, credit cards, medical bills, and any kind of installment loans, car payments, payday loans, student loans, all of those things, if you are paying on any of those, then getting rid of those first is going to be very helpful for creating wealth in the future. So I say that all comes back to creating a budget and knowing where you are financially. It's a snapshot of what matters most to you and your family in this moment of time for this month. What matters most? If I looked at your budget, I should be able to tell what matters most to you. So that's where I tell my clients to start with first. But what do you do in the process, or what do you do with your budget after you've made it? Making sure that you are creating a small emergency fund for yourself, because life happens and kids get sick. They have to go to the emergency room, or things come up that we haven't planned before. And so that's what the emergency fund is for. If you want to learn more about creating a small emergency fund, we say start out with $1,000, and that will help cover any foreseeable small emergencies in the near future. So that is episode 4. And then from there, you want to figure out how much money you owe. And that's just creating a debt snowball. So starting with put everything you have down on a sheet of paper, anything that you pay on a monthly basis, or anything that you haven't paid lately but that has an outstanding balance on, like anything that you owe anyone. Maybe it's friends, family, any banks, any loans that you have. Put those in order from smallest balance to largest. And you're going to continue to pay those until they are all paid for. So one thing at a time, right? We want to focus on the first thing is getting $1,000 saved as quickly as possible. And that just helps you create some breathing room so that you're not putting anything and everything on a credit card that comes up. And then next, you're going to create that debt snowball. And that's starting with the smallest debt that you have, but put the balance on there. And then you're going to work through that all the way to the last debt, which is going to be your biggest. And you're going to put on there what your monthly payment is, and you're going to continue to pay all those down. Creating a debt elimination plan is incredibly important for your financial success, because anytime that you're paying on any kind of loan, or you're paying for things that have happened in the past, you tend to spend more money on those things, but they're also a distraction from the present and from your future. So I advise all of my clients, get that emergency fund in place first, and then work on eliminating your debt. And the way that you do all of that is creating that budget. So you know how much money you have left over at the end of the month. You can plan out your paychecks and then plan out your expenses. And then you know how much that you have left to accomplish each one of those steps. So you're not making roasted garlic sugar cookies when you're trying to make dinner. So you're not trying to get out of debt, save money all at the same time. So you're going to save, and then you're going to get out of debt. And so that all comes back to the budget and creating a budget. And that's why I'm Jewlz the Budget Nerd. I'm super passionate about that, because it is the thing that set our family free from the stress of fighting over our spending habits. We're able to pay off over $107,000 of our own debt. Is the best tool that you have to create the life that you want for you and your family. So that's why I've created the Debt Rebel Starter Kit. And in the Debt Rebel Starter Kit, it's going to give you a bunch of ideas and ways to save that $1,000 as fast as you can. It's also going to help you create some places in your budget that you can maybe eliminate some things, or you can replace some things that aren't getting you closer to your goal. So with that, I also have the budgeting masterclass. You can get that bundled on my website at jewlzthebudgetnerd.com, and it will take you through all of the steps, and it'll take you through what my family did so that we could eliminate debt from our lives and create our debt-free status, because it has freed us up and allowed us to be able to have the life that we really wanted, not being distracted by our finances, arguing about our spending habits, and spending more money than we really had. And so we pay for today, and we pay for tomorrow, and we don't have to worry about things that have happened in the past because those have already been covered. If you already have your Debt Rebel Starter Kit, I really wanted to share a really awesome opportunity that have for the next few Fridays. I'm going to be live on Voxer, and this is a really great way to get a behind the scenes look at what coaching looks like. So every Friday from now until Thanksgiving, so if you're listening to this before November 28th, 2024, I will be on Voxer on Fridays for a couple hours, and you can get that link in the show notes, and you can jump on with other debt rebels. We're going to be learning and growing our financial knowledge together, and it's going to be in an on the go group setting. So the cool thing about Voxer is you don't have to show up on video or anything like that. You can send in text, or you can record a voice memo and send that in, and I'll be able to answer those questions for you live. So it's a really great way to test out and find out if coaching is right for you. We'll set a goal at the beginning. I have a little brief training that we'll do at the beginning to kind of help you get the ball rolling, and then it'll be open up for questions. So if you have been listening to this podcast for a while and you're like, hey, Jewlz, I have to know the answer to this, I would absolutely love to have you on Voxer. And because the one thing that I found in this process of eliminating my family's debt was asking questions and seeking knowledge was so important, because we don't know what we don't know. And so I sought out the knowledge of people that did know and were able to help me along in this process so that we could reach our debt-free status. So I want to help you with that. I want to help you create order from your financial chaos. The cool thing about this is you don't have to set an appointment. You don't have to find childcare. You don't have to take time off work. I know we just talked about multitasking. So maybe this is the time where you're like, hey, I'm going to take a few minutes away from work and I'm going to jump on Voxer on Friday afternoons. I would love to answer your questions about debt elimination, about budgeting, about personal finance, and how I can help your family create the life that you want, because it is possible for you. And it's what I'm super passionate about, is giving you your time back so for the people that you want to be with to be able to do the things that you want to do. I hope today was an encouragement to you that you're a better cook than I am, because, well, all jokes aside, I'm getting better. I'm learning, because I realize this is an area that we're spending a lot of money buying convenient things. And so I really wanted to tighten up our budget. And so I decided, hey, I'm going to learn how to cook. Now, I am not going to be, in some 4-star, is it 4-star, 5-star Michelin restaurant cooking for you, but my family's all right with my cooking abilities. And so I just keep practicing and getting better. And it's the same thing that I want to help you do with your finances. So if that sounds awesome, I would love for you to jump on Voxer. And if you're listening to this after Thanksgiving of 2024, jump on my website and check out the other offers that I have available to help you. I want to get to know you. I want to find out what's most important to you so I can help you align your finances and your budget so that you can have what is most important to you and your family. So
thank you for listening to the Debt Rebel podcast. Now, if you want to take your next step, check out my website, jewlzthebudgetnerd.com. That's JEWLZ, thebudgetnerd.com. I've created a bunch of resources just for you. So hop on over, check it out, and we can connect more there. If you loved today's episode, I would be honored if you would hit that subscribe button and leave me a review. And remember, every step towards financial independence is a rebellion against debt. So stay strong. Keep pushing forward and fight the good fight. Until next time, Debt Rebels, stay resilient.